I'm joined by special guests today. She didn't want to leave, so.
Just leave me for somebody else.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are brand new here. If you are, then do think about subscribing down below. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about my top 10 albums of the past decade. This was a very hard list to put together, considering all of my faves have released in the past decade, so you can understand my agony when I was eliminating half of my list to get it into my top 10. My top 10 is going to be based on albums where I absolutely adore the whole track list. So I have eliminated ones where there's been a song or two that I haven't vibed with, so I've literally whittled it down to albums where I can listen to the whole thing and not skip a track. So this was like really hard. I got this video idea from someone I watch on YouTube quite frequently. Her name is Yasmine Summan. I hope I said that right. But I love her content anyway. I'm going to link her channel below in case you guys want to go and check her out. But yes, she was my inspo for this video. Before we get into the video and into the albums that I've absolutely adored, if you guys are brand new here, then do please subscribe down below. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if we could do that, that would be excellent. Then make sure you turn on the notification bell, and without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so I haven't done this in any order because it was hard enough picking my top 10, so I haven't done it in any order from favoritism. I literally love all these albums like they are my own children. So the first album for me is Wretched and Divine by Black Veil Brides. I love this album with my whole heart. When it came out, I remember downloading it. First thing I did when I woke up was download it, and I listened to it the whole day, and honestly I just loved it so much. Like, it was honestly one of the best things I have listened to. The reason why I really love it is because not only did they make like a short film to go along with all the tracks, but the tracks, most of them all merge into another, and you know, like when an album does that, it sends me to heaven. Like, honestly, having a song merge into another song on an album, it makes me so happy. I can't describe why. It just sounds so good when that happens. I love when that happens. And this album for me, like, there are no tracks on it that I skip. Every song for me is a good song. My favourite song from the album would probably be Resurrect the Sun. That is like my go-to. If I'm going to listen to any of them from that album, I would go to that one first. The next album is Neighborhoods by Blink-182. This one was like really life-changing for me. I didn't know if I was gonna enjoy it because a lot of Blink's old stuff is like really good. So when they were making a new album, I was a bit apprehensive. I was a bit like, oh, don't know what this is gonna sound like. I was quite a fan though, I won't lie to you. I was a little bit worried. I'm like, hearing After Midnight, totally different tone for Blink-182. Like, it really, I was a little bit like, oh, this is very different. But for me, it was different in a good way. It was something that I didn't know I needed from them, but I'm glad that they did it because I quite enjoy it. It's quite a nice song to listen to. My favourite song from that album would probably be, I would say, Natives. That song sends me. I love it so much, honestly. Another album I really liked, this is also by Blink-182, but I really loved California, and this is a very controversial topic in the Blink-182 world. I know a lot of people really didn't vibe with California, but for me, I really did. I loved it. The whole concept for me was everything. I know, again, it's a lot different to what they normally would produce and what they normally would do, but for me, it was really good. Like, I really enjoyed it. My favourite song would probably be Sober. For some reason, I really love that song. It was something I listened to like on the daily for like ages. I really liked it. I've seen part of that album live and it really does go off. So I know many people didn't like it, but I personally really enjoyed it. So my next two albums are both by 21 Pilots, I know, but I couldn't do a top 10 countdown without adding at least two of their albums in. Honestly though, it was really hard because I know Vessel came out in the last decade as well, and I was so close to putting them all 3 in there, but I had to whittle it down. So as much as I love Vessel, it didn't make its way in there. But purely because I've got, so in my countdown I've got Trench and Blurryface. And I know these are like the 2 where a lot of people are like,
oh, if your favourite album's Blurryface, you're a fake fan.
Yes, okay, Blurryface was like the first album they put out when I started becoming a fan of theirs, like a proper fan. But for me, Blurryface is a lyrical masterpiece. It is honestly an album that I feel like I will love forever, no questions asked. My favourite track on Blurryface would probably be Message Man. That song, when it's live, goes off. Honestly, when I saw that live, I was bopping. And my favourite one of Trench would probably be Chlorine, I would say. Trench as well changed my life. I listened to it the minute it came out in the UK. I was sat up in bed waiting for the drop and I listened to it. And honestly, it was one of those I just cried to. Every track, I was crying. Trench was just like a life-changing album for me. It was something that, you know, when I heard most of it live, I was really living my best life, like, honestly. For me, I just love it because it has such a story behind it as well, and like all the videos for it all have stories, and like the inside of Tyler Joseph's mind is just like a creative masterpiece. That boy needs more credit than he's given, especially like Josh as well. Like Josh's drumming on that album is like spot on. This video has turned into me ranting about how much I love 21 Pilots. The next album is Danger Days by My Chemical Romance. Now this one I love with my whole soul, and again, this was an album that people were afraid to have. People were afraid to listen to this album, and I kind of understand why. Again, very different from the Black Parade, I will say, but I love it. I live for it. I live for the track list on that album. My favourite song is probably Bulletproof Heart. That song is everything to me. I love the whole concept of the album. I like that the band all have different like superhero personas, I want to call them. It's such a colourful album as well. Like you watch any video from that album, there's so much colour. She's just gonna have a scratch. Honestly, live for that album. Where are you going? She's literally just gone to sit behind me. Honestly, I love it. Top tier album for me. I just love My Chemical Romance, in all honesty. My next one is Death of a Bachelor by Panic at the Disco, my very own Brendan Urie. My heart soars for that man. Death of a Bachelor for me, wow. An album that I listened to all the way through and was like, every track on this is pure genius. My favourite song from that album is probably The Emperor's New Clothes. That song goes ham. I love it so much. I have it on vinyl as well, and it's really good on vinyl, like it plays really well. And again, Brendan Urie is a man with the best vocals I have really ever heard for a long while. I love that man's voice, honestly. Stan Brendan Urie for Clear Skin. Next one is Ammo by Bring Me the Horizon. Again, another controversial album. And I will say that because the people who have not listened to it properly probably are the ones moaning that it's not a very good album. And for me, I love it to death. I at first was like, oh my god, what is this? What are they doing? But then after a few more listens, I really just came to realise that I love it, and I love their new sound they're trying for. I really am a big fan of it, honestly. I adore it. My favourite song off that album is probably Why You Gotta Kick Me When I'm Down. That song sends me over the edge. I love that song so much. It really just does go off. That album, I love it. I'm so happy that they decided to make an album that sounds that way, because it's something I didn't know I needed until as of recent. So thank you, Bring Me the Horizon, for giving me such a beautifully written album. I am in love with it. Next album is The Shadow Side by Andy Black. Now technically this does count as another Black Veil Brides album, but it's not really Black Veil Brides because it's Andy by himself. Moving on. This one, wow, honestly, yes. I have this album on CD and it's signed by Andy, and it came with a poster which is also signed. I just love Andy with my whole heart, honestly. I love that man. I love it so much. Every song on there I adore. When I saw him live, he sang Put the Gun Down, and I can promise you I was sobbing my eyes out, which I think my favourite song off that album is Put the Gun Down. Oh wow, it just really sends me, like I'm thinking about it now and I'm getting a little bit emotional. When he said he was doing a solo album, I was a little bit like, oh god, why? You know, like, because all of them are doing solo stuff, and it kind of like scares me when bands do solo things, because it makes me feel like a breakup is like on the cards and it's gonna happen. But I'm really glad that this didn't happen for them, and I'm glad that they're, you know, together still and still making music. I mean, Ashley did leave. I just reopened a wound that I'd finally gotten over. But anyway, I love it so much. I love Andy's solo stuff. Like, his most recent album almost made this countdown, but for me, The Shadow Side was a lot better for me. That album is really, really good. Hitting number 10 in my little countdown. Again, this isn't in chronological order. The last album I decided was in my top 10 was AM by the Arctic Monkeys. And I know what you're gonna say. The Tumblr girl in me jumped out, okay? But for me, this album was my Arctic Monkeys turning point. Now, saying that, I did love them before this album, but for me, this was an album where I listened to the whole thing and was like, oh my god, I love Alex Turner. That was you know, I really do adore that man. Favourite song off that album would probably be number 1, Party Anthem, surprisingly. I love that song with my whole being, and it's such a perfect slow song to listen to. Again, I brought that album. That was the first album I brought on vinyl. I was obsessed with it. I played it so often. And also, I was gonna put Tranquility Base into my countdown, but for me, AM just tops it. I did love Tranquility Base, you know, one of my favourite albums, but for me, AM just came above it. Okay, well, those are my top 10 albums of the past decade. I hope you guys enjoyed finding out what exactly my music taste is. I hope you guys enjoyed my little countdown. If you guys did enjoy the video and want to see more videos like this, then give it a thumbs up and click subscribe down below. And comment below what your favourite album of the decade was. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye guys!